Hey everybody, I'm Zael Mednick and welcome to another episode of Preconceived. If you're enjoying this podcast, please rate and review us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. That is the best way you can support this podcast if you are enjoying it. Mark McNeely, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Glad to be here again.
Is the smartest move right now for people when we talk about maybe reskilling and preparing for changes in the job market? Is it to understand and learn AI better, or has that missed the point?
I think there's a couple things you need to think about. I think one is you do need to learn how to use AI. You need to learn how to use it well, right? So I think everyone needs to learn how to use AI well, right?
And does that mean learning how to use ChatGPT and optimize it well?
To use ChatGPT, there's tons of different ones out there, and use it not just for writing. You need to learn what to change your workflow. We all have workflows that have helped us, that we use to help us get to where we are today. We've been successful, and this is a new thing you have to introduce into your workflow, which makes it hard. That's part of the inertia of why the adoption is slow. But you need to get to what the head of Shopify calls reflexive AI. Whenever you're doing a task, you should reflexively think, how can AI help me do this? And so to do that, you have to change your workflow. You have to integrate it into your workflow. So just as you change your workflow to include search, right, whenever you had a problem, now you got to change it to include AI. Now that doesn't mean you automatically just go revert to AI for everything, because you should sprinkle a little try on it first so you don't totally lose any ability to think. But that should be one of the things you do. And then to do that, you need to think about not just the obvious use cases that are in front of you, but the non-obvious use cases. Things like, I could brainstorm with this thing for ideas, right? I can role play with it. There's a lot, so expanding the number of use cases that you have. So that's the personal use. The other thing you need to think about is, how is it deployed in my industry? So it's not just how do I personally use it, but how is it going to change my organization? How's it going to be deployed if I'm in marketing, how is it being used in marketing, right? Or if I'm in ophthalmology, or if I'm in medicine, how is it changing the environment I work in, right? So you can stay ahead of that part. And so there's a saying, I'm sure everyone's heard it, right? If you don't, you're not going to be replaced by AI, but you're going to be replaced by someone who knows and uses AI. So you have to do that, right? And then there's a set of other things that you need to do that are things AI can't do, at least not yet, right? So the human part, right? There was an article in the New York Times by David Brooks that said, in the age of AI, major in being human. And I think what some of the things you need to think about is, you still need to have initiative. Agency is going to be huge, right? Taking the lead in things, in getting ideas for projects and driving them through the business. Imagination is going to be important, but you can augment that now even better with AI and come up with better ideas. As we write more with AI and do maybe more images with AI, that's basically, you're inflating those things. You're inflating the number of words and images, and so it's devaluing those. And so what's going to become more valuable is you speaking, right? You on a podcast, right? You talking about them, your individual charisma, your ability to influence other people directly, right? Your knowledge of networks and how organizations work, right? Especially the organization you're in, and how to get things done, and how to motivate people, and how to, organize the work to get it done. I think you're going to need virtues to use AI properly and ethically, but also to make sure you're using it to help you think, not think for you. And a big one I think you're going to have, not just because of AI and how it's changing our world, but also because of things like geopolitics, is resilience. And that's one of the things we've been really bad at instilling in people, is resilience, anti-fragility, the ability to take shocks and be able to keep going, and if not, get stronger. And we've kind of been on this hiatus from history for the last 20 years or so, since the fall of the Soviet Union. And we've been living in a primarily peaceful world. We did have the war on terror, but we didn't have the existential threat of the Cold War. But now we're entering that time again, right? Whether it's with China and Russia and Iran and North Korea. And then layer on top of that, you've got things like AI, right? So all these changes, things are going to be changing at an ever-increasing speed in a very unpredictable way. So we need to be very resilient. And then on top of that, you've got to learn to be able to use these tools.